Bruce Arians has, and I don't want to call it a strategy. It's just the way he is. Bruce Arians is the way he is. Bill Belichick is the way he is. Bill Belichick would never call out one of his players publicly. Bruce Arians has called out the great and powerful Tom Brady twice in consecutive days.
Yes, he
after
has.
the loss to the Saints, and then he went in on him again yesterday. Let's hear a little bit of Bruce Arians talking about Brady's performance in his first game as a Buccaneer.
He's had it before. I mean, he knows how to bounce back, and he knew he didn't play very well, and it's not what he expects from himself, nor do we expect. So I would anticipate him to have a little more grit and a little more determination this week.
And there's even more from Arians where he said, I was surprised based on what I saw in practice. I thought he was going to be better. And
Right.
the day before, the two interceptions, we played that sound yesterday, blaming the interceptions on Tom Brady.
Yeah. Talked about the first drive, said, hey, we were in sequence then. You can't say we weren't ready to go because we showed that we were ready to go. And then took even, I thought, and then we don't get any more chunk plays after that, which I thought was a little even slight shade towards Brady there once again. So this is going to be interesting to watch here because you're right. It's a totally different environment for Tom Brady. He's used to being coached hard and called out and things like that, but never in the media, never so just hard on my sleeve. I'm Bruce Arians, and you ask me the question, I answer it. I love that about Bruce, but this is going to be different for Tom. And I'll few more bumps in the road. I'll be interested to see where this goes. But those are pretty, when he says, I think he'll show more grit and determination, and that's pretty strong language for a guy that's showed a lot of grit and determination. Again, I'm just questioning. I'm talking to you. Is he saying he didn't think it was gritty and determined enough last Sunday? That's the way I take it a little bit, right? So, yeah, I'm perked up now going, okay, Bruce Arians, Tom Brady, keep my eye on this.
And here's the reality with Bruce Arians. And look, I'm not criticizing him because I am far more like Bruce Arians than not like Bruce Arians. He didn't become a head coach until 2013, in part because he doesn't play the game. He doesn't kiss ass.
That's right.
He doesn't say what he's supposed to say when he's supposed to say it. He says what he thinks. And it's going to be an interesting experiment to see how Tom Brady reacts to a setting where for 20 years he was coached hard and criticized and called out behind the scenes, but never called out publicly by his head coach, to now he's in a spot where he's going to get it wherever he gets it, and Bruce Arians is going to give it to him. And I'm telling you, Bruce Arians is saying this stuff publicly. He's saying it to his face.
Definitely.
He's not going to be afraid to tell Tom Brady where he needs to get better. How's Tom going to react to it? If it happens again and again, at what point does Brady start giving it back a little bit? At what point is there maybe a comment about, the offense isn't where it needs to be? I don't think Brady's wired that way.
Yeah, right.
But Arians is wired his way.
Yes.
And this is what Brady signed on for. It's what he wanted, so it's hard for him to complain about it, especially early on. In the process.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if Brady plays well, let's just set it straight. Bruce will, just gush about him. You know he will. That's what he does. If you play well, he's going to have his arm around you and tell you, my quarterback's the greatest thing we've ever seen since sliced bread. He's unbelievable. But when you lose and do what you did the other day, and Brady, it was a little all over the place, especially for Tom Brady, Bruce doesn't hold back. And if it did happen, Mike, to answer your question, I think at some point Brady would probably have to go in and have a private talk with Bruce Arians. You're right. I don't think Brady's wired to take a shot publicly or do something like that. He might have to go in and just say, hey, cut the crap. You got a problem with my play. I understand you could say I didn't play well, but let's talk about it. We don't need to air out every play of every game and have everybody dissecting everything.
But then Arians says, can't you take it? If you can't take that, how are you supposed to stand up to these guys who are chasing you around who are half your age?
True. True. You're right. That's going to be a valid response and everything about that, to where that's where Tom will have to be tactical. Maybe Tom just got to let it shrug off his shoulder then and show that none of this helps him and just keep fighting for now. Put your head down and realize, hey, it's still the early phases of this offense. Mike Evans wasn't 100%. I didn't play my best game, certainly, and we played a really good defense in the New Orleans Saints, and let's just build on it. And I think that's the approach Brady will take. I don't expect him to be too ruffled feathers, pissed off quite yet. I think he's just going to be pissed by his play and going to try to rebound from that standpoint.
I can hear Arians saying it. This is what you wanted, baby. You wanted to come play for us. You want to have a head coach who's not going to say when you stink, you should have stayed in New England. I could hear him saying it.
I don't doubt. Listen.
It may not come to that, though. It's just one game. It may be the toughest game they play all year.
That's right. It's just one game, and we'll see where it goes. I know I had a lot of Boston friends Sunday night and Monday night going, man, for the last 12 years, all we wanted to know was it Brady or Belichick, and as far as week one concerned, that question was kind of answered pretty harshly or pretty directly right there. And this will continue to be the conversation all year long, Brady, Belichick, and we'll see the ebbs and flows and where it goes.
All right, Mr. Jaworski, you watched the film. What was your take on Tom Brady's first performance with the team other than the Patriots?
Well, let's be realistic. Like we just said, first off, the offense is a work in progress. Second off, it was a really good defense they're playing. Third of all, they couldn't run the football a lick, really. So that's not fun to be playing in that new offense, new scheme. Oh, I can't get any pressure off me and get a run game going. Therefore, play action doesn't work, anything like that. So it was a team effort that was a little underwhelming across the board. And Brady's play overall, is underwhelming. Were there some big-time throws? Yes, there was a few of them, certainly. But I think the 2 interceptions were clearly his fault. The first one down the middle to Mike Evans. I know there was a little miscommunication, but Arians told us Evans read it right. Brady kind of just panicked. The pocket started to collapse. And that's another part of being in a new offense. The pocket collapses. In New England, he could probably just picture where everybody is with his eyes closed. Like, oh, man, the pocket's collapsing. I know where I could throw the ball out of my hands or get it to a back and just not get an intentional grounding. This offense, he might still be thinking about stuff like that. So he panics. He throws it high down to Mike Evans. Interception. Not a good throw. Not a good decision. The next one, Mike, is a screenplay to the left. The screen is there. I don't know what took
So is Janoris Jenkins.
The Janoris Jenkins pick six, right. And I don't know what Brady was looking at to not throw the screen. Either way, he had the out route, but he was a little late throwing it. And as you saw, or anybody saw highlights or the game itself, he threw it 3 or 4 feet behind him, and Janoris Jenkins made a great break and pick six.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.